Hello everyone, my name is Yuta Jazz, and today we are going to do something a little different. So it is kind of like a pick a pile, but it's pick a doodle. I know it sounds funny. I thought it was gonna be a fun way to divinate and channel some information and see how that goes. So yeah, if you wanna participate, you can see that the doodles are there, because holding them up or whatever, having a camera down is just gonna be annoying. Um, I thought I'll show my face for this one, and yeah, I'm gonna be looking at them, and that's the value of them or whatever, the frickin' numbers associated with each of the doodles. I did these doodles a while ago now. I'd say it's been a week and a half. So it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be interesting. I've had this idea for a while of seeing what just is gonna happen with it. I want to, in general, experiment like on different ways on how to divinate and how to get into magic, and I don't know, figure out a way for it to be more interactive for you guys and more, I don't know, entertaining, or maybe like in a way kind of boosting your life experience and what you want to do and the positive shifts and changes you want to make. And I think this one is going to be more about reading general vibes and identity and character and how you might come across energetically. I think that's what this is about, but that's just my speculation. I have no fucking clue what the hell I'm gonna get through these doodles. I didn't premeditate them. I kind of was just like getting annoyed with me not doing it, and I drew these on my work break, like 15-minute break. So yeah, we'll see what happens, what they are, and I hope you enjoy. Let me know. All right, hello guys. So yeah, starting off with number one, you seem like people that are forward facing. You might be people also that do really well with the water element, or you're kind of somehow emotional in such a way, or like serene way that's kind of grounded. Either way, you kind of like are a water bearer of some sort that's quite grounded. Like you've went through a lot of emotional storms, and now you have this new different perspective on emotions and how they function and how they work. And in general, you are kind of forward going. You always find your way out of things or around things. You're one to look at things from different sides and new perspectives. You're one to do and try them in a new, different way instead of following instructions, or having to follow whatever you've learned. It's kind of like you need that as a template of showing you what needs to be done, but then you need to figure out your own way and how you do things and why you do them and what it's gonna like feel like to you and for you. You've always had like something circling your life. It could be a goal, it could be a desire, it could be a dream, it could be a wish for a specific like romantic experience or partner. It could be to find a person that you call family or home. It could be anything really, but whatever a dream is of yours, it's kind of like life puts back focus onto it or loops around it almost, or you loop around it. And it is constantly kind of like you living a life while anticipating moving towards this coming in, or this manifesting and happening for your life. Some of you know it's kind of just gonna happen to you while you're living your best life or trying to, even through hardship, and others of you are kind of expecting it to just show up when you're realizing like what you need to actually do about it, or what type of person you need to become about it. Like that your headstrong way of going forwards isn't necessarily like the same way of achieving it as you would need to, as you're feeling into it, as you're really like taking it up onto yourself. You also leave a lot behind yourself. I don't know to what extent or why or how or what it is exactly. I think it might be different for everyone watching like this doodle. Um, but it's kind of like you kind of just happen and there is like a vibration of like, hey, this is very noticeable. This energy is like very, influential or kind of causes a lot of change. And then after you're gone and leave, it's kind of like a trail gets left, like an effect is left, or even a sound can be still heard in the air. But then once you're gone, and it's kind of like there's an emptiness that can be seen, whether positive or negative. But I feel like ultimately it turns out to be for everyone's like best that you were in that environment and you left that trail. Yeah, like it somehow all plays into you actually, even if you make mistakes, it's kind of like you play into things working out the best that they could, even if you like kind of missed the point or your actions were misplaced or whatever, you were preoccupied with other things. If you're even participating in stuff so much that you make like a mistake, right? You still, I don't know, you somehow play into the vibes of things being figured out for the better and then becoming actually better. You don't always feel this way. I feel like a lot of you, a lot of the time, feel like you just need to keep going and swimming and doing and figuring things out and surviving. Some of you are like even wondering how and why are you a leader? Why are you a individual in person that brings action forward, ideas, life, all of it? Like, how are you that person that people look up to? Why is that even the case? Some of you are like, I'm just tired. I don't want that. 2020 on my clock as well. But you're realizing and figuring out that like regardless of what you're going to do, you're always going to just exude this aura or vibe. And some of you have a whole life around it, and others of you have a life around just being whatever happy it is for you that's just going to continue you exuding this vibe, whereas others of you do want to achieve something so badly that you're going to figure out how you do that along the way anyway, but it's kind of like you want to get to this one thing specifically, or you know where you're going to have your happy fill, and it's just very intricate how it needs to be done to get there or what needs to be done to get there. 'Cause some people can achieve things a little bit easier than others, and you've kind of felt the point that you play on a harder difficulty is how it's coming across. Sometimes you mind it, sometimes you don't. It depends on where you are in your consciousness, because you have like a few different ways of how you can experience yourself. There's so many different layers to you of where it's kind of like getting stuff done, then kind of being very well put in life just happening and going through the motions, whatever it is, whatever the journey is at that point, right? And then also having interesting experiences that you couldn't really explain in very rational ways to other people because some of them just wouldn't believe it. But you've experienced it and you know and you believe it. But yeah, overall, I guess grounded people with a lot of crazy stuff happening for them and around them. Intuitive bearers of some sort, yeah. I think that's it. I think I'm done with this one. Very interesting doodle. Let me know how this went and if you liked it. And I'll see you in the next whatever pile and or not. And you can check out my link tree in my description for more stuff that I do in the week besides YouTube. So yeah. Ta-ta. See ya. Hello, Pi Doodle number two. Sorry, I'm not quite used to this, but I'm enjoying it so far anyway. So you guys really stand out with your ideas. You guys really, in general, you illuminate spaces, but you can also cause conflict and tearing and change and whatever. You're a person that goes through a lot of experiences of ups and downs and a bunch of other things, but you are very, I don't know, you're somehow quite logical. You're very logical, you're very deep, and you're very high understanding of some universal laws, but also just like how things work in a way. Maybe you could be an engineer. This does have slight engineer vibes, or something in analogy to an engineer, right? Of whatever type. You're also kind of person that sees, yeah, well, like you see the different parts that make a whole and how that functions and how that shifts in and out and spiral out, but also can also contribute to a person and character and who they are and how they are. That like I don't know, you just understand the concept of like everything having a micro and macro very well. Everything has parts, everything has a whole, and everything is also separated into these different aspects as well at times, and sometimes they come together. But in general, like all of it is a tapestry, and it is a bit of a ride in life. It is leading somewhere, it has a point, but the point of it being quite random, uncontrollable, and just like gnarly is very apparent as the weather. You're kind of not really interested with the impact and intensity that you hold in a room. Like, you're not really interested in the point of, like, oh, I stand out. You know about it, you're aware about it, but you still focus on just being yourself and having an experience and looking to the deeper meaning of things and what really matters. And you've noticed a lot about yourself, you've learned a lot about yourself, and you're learning a lot about the world. And you will have a period in your life where the world and life is just going to completely transform because of your just internal monologue. Something happens in one of your days of reflection or evenings of going to sleep or gaming or traveling or something that just like shatters the way you've experienced and accepted life to be, and then it completely shifts and changes. To some of you, it might be young, like at a younger stage or age, at mid stage or late stage. I don't know which, everyone's different, but you are gonna have some type of experience like that for sure. It doesn't need to be anything like I don't know. It's kind of personal. Um, yeah, it somehow still works and unlocks something spiritually, but you might experience it as a practical thing of like an ego death. You could experience it as like a complete shift in character because of loss of some sort, but I feel like it's more of a building character towards accepting something about existence and how life works and why it is what it is. Could be that you find your own mathematical algebra equation, whatever it is, to the world and to life and being. Maybe you find your own understanding of a soul. I don't know. It feels something quite huge and like on an existential level. Um, and it's really gonna put you on a different path that in the next lifetimes is gonna put you in a place of like being actually spiritual. Because this pile doesn't really feel too spiritual, or if it is spiritual, it's like working up to a specific level of being spiritually enlightened or some type of like advocate or leader or like master of their own. This is a pile for people on their way to mastery, but you are already masters of a lot of things or personal specific like specialists of some sort or maybe jacks of all trade, but you're like in a different level of making it to even a higher level of perfection, understanding, coming together with life, with deeper meaning of things. and making the most out of your own life currently is a really big part of it. Like you don't let go and like you don't let anything go to waste in terms of what is your experience and who you are and what you can achieve and what is possible and what your happiness is worth even in the materialistic or superficial things. It's like you have too much living to do to even be occupied or worried or annoyed or thoughtful about it. You're literally like in the zone, um, living your best life, and then it's like it's a different experience than from the regular stuff. And I think you've noticed that and understood it. I think you wonder sometimes if any of this has a point or if it's just randomly you making up stuff of meaning in your head. But you are getting to a point. It just, until you reach the other side of it, it's not gonna make sense. And you're gonna have way more energy to fulfill like this change that you have on whatever level it is, like than yeah, anyone else. Um, the time it takes, the effort it kind of goes through. Like it'll be a very easy transition in a way, even if it's an extreme transition. It's gonna be very flowing. You're gonna be on the same page with yourself, even if you're shitting your pants scared about it. I think that's enough. I feel like there's a little bit more here, but I feel like I felt kind of the same thing with pile one, to be fair, and I feel like I just need to leave it. I don't know if these things become a thing, right? Maybe I don't want to spill all the tea about the doodle info. We don't know where this might go. But yeah, thank you so much for clicking on the video, participating. I hope you have a wonderful evening. And if you want to see more of me, go to my link tree or, see you in the next doodle or whatever it is. Hello, by doodle number 3. So this is an interesting one. It does remind me of a bug a little bit, but it also reminds me of an alien. And it also reminds me coming out of your shell or cocoon, metamorphosizing, but then kind of being like a little bit of an energy of flux with that as well, and observing that, experiencing it for real, for truth, seeing it for what it really is, seeing how life and things are in flux, how the flux energy works, right? It's kind of like if you were a portal with consciousness, experiencing yourself being a portal, and you constantly are just portaling and still kind of in a body. Yeah, it's really kind of interesting and weird. And you also have like a special connection to the Matrix, at least this Matrix, at least this part of the Matrix. I don't think it extends out of this Matrix, but I think in this Matrix you have a particular type of experience and feelings and vibes. And it's basically to see things in flux. So death and rebirth might be a huge topic in your life. Crazy stories of extreme good or bad in your own perception kind of happen as well. In general, stories or life is extreme and intense. If you tell it to some other people, they think you're damn crazy, maybe even sometimes. You might just see coincidences up the wazoo to the extent of like people really being like, that's not real, you're just making stuff up. It's like, no, this is how many times I see these synchronicities, man, for real, for sure. Um, you know where things are going and where they're coming from. You know where you need to like pull from an energy to improve or even disapprove of an energy. Like basically, you can cut stuff off from having power in a way in certain spaces that are your own. I think, it depends on where you're gonna be on the whole spiritual like practitioner scale of it. If you're gonna be trusted to just make those calls, you're gonna be making those calls. If you won't be trusted to make those calls, you won't be able to do it on everyone. in every scenario. Could be just a personal power that is for you and your domain and certain spaces and places, but like you can't just do it with certain fucking people. Or if you do it, some of y'all are learning like the truth of how and when you need to speak up and speak out, when you need to put someone in their place, when you need to stand your ground in conflict, and when you need to sit down and shut the fuck up. And you're realizing the importance of that, not in a way of dealing with life and the world of it having a higher ground than you and this authority that you need to constantly fight and defend against, but that you are the authority. And so you need to gain that mastery because you have all the power and you impact way more sometimes than the authority you dislike because you have so much energy or power or emotion or you're such an icon or something is like particular about you. And it's kind of like learning, like, oh, I can actually make things easier and better, not as bad and chaotic. And when I do, like, these are the consequences and repercussions. Other times I can use this in a way that's chaotic and maybe induces chaos, right? But I need to be mindful of my own actions, intentions, or other people's well-being in the process, right? Like you might be in that space of learning, like, oh, how the fuck does this shit fucking actually work? And yeah, some of you abuse it and you kind of have a bit of a messy life and you sometimes wonder why. Most of you are fine and cool people. I think most of you are kind of like aliens and butterflies and like trying to come out of your cocoon of sleep in a way of being more of an observer than the portaling. It's kind of like, a lot of that got either forgotten or put behind a barrier and a wall, and there was fear of acknowledging it. There was a lot of masking. There was a lot of pain and fear in coming out as this person that is surreal, that is as an experience artsy, but in a like unconventional way that kind of shocks your brain, shocks your perception and experience and feeling of things. Like you don't, there's not a categorization or a category that can be put upon this group or pile because one, the flux aspect and transformation and coming into your own mystical being and experience, but also it's there's a deeper meaning and point and part with it of like there's been a discomfort of the mask. There's also been a discomfort of being a portal, right? Maybe some people are gonna get scared by that type of things. It's been scary to have so much to go through to then come back from it with such power and authority, right? That you kind of express yourself differently compared to like maybe the prejudice you've seen or other things, right? Maybe it just being that conscious at a certain level is a bit scary or agonizing because it's kind of like everything works different, people react different to me, and people fucking see me different. And I have this voice, I have this aura, I have this like word, and I'm not quite concrete on it because it's kind of like birthing all the time. It's just coming out, it's just happening, right? But that's the mystical like aspect to you. That's the transcendence. That's the connection to the other side and the veil of it all. You aren't lying to anyone by naturally flowing with all of the different sides of yourself. When you're masking, you can be aware of you masking, but you do have this weird input or like connection with the world and people and the universe. It's not necessarily you just imagining it or whatever. I think you've went through being like I don't want to use that word because people are gonna take it out of fucking context. So we're gonna choose a different word. Um, you might have felt a little bit overbearing with the intensity of being yourself and just too extreme with it, to the point of like maybe sometimes losing yourself, maybe sometimes being like, oh, I can control everything and do whatever the fuck I want, or you should listen to me. I don't think it was as much about people. I think it's more on the idea of like you're almost invincible in life and in the world, and then you kind of did realize like, no, I'm not. Some of you are maybe somewhere in the middle of this, and there's a group of you saying like, no, I am invincible to me. and what I'm rated energy. I'm not gonna argue. Although it might not be healthy to think that way, but that's that I'm leaving it now. Okay. Um, yeah, you are going towards a specific place and space and whatever. It might seem sometimes like you're looping everywhere and all across wherever, or that every loop is different and it's been proved or this disintegrated somehow or like decomposed. But you know that you're coming towards whatever is really home for you inside, and whatever home is outside of you. Even look, but it's coming across as energetically. Where are you gonna go after this transformation in spirit and who you are at like different dimensions and levels and places? Where's this like butterfly gonna go after the cocoon of portaling everywhere? Some of you already know more about it than others. Either way, it's an adventure, it's a journey, and the experience matters more than the conclusion of it. A lot of you are just happy and proud of yourself that you've even made it to this point in your soul's evolution. So you might be experiencing one of those lives that's actually jolly and happy most of the time, or you have an ability of just being with a perspective of that jolly happiness. But some of you don't have it all your life. Maybe it's a period, maybe you kind of go in and out of it. But there is some type of pride of like maybe it's about like not getting stuck in a place or not being susceptible to certain forces or realizing you have more of a say and you are more powerful and more of an example, right, with who you are than you thought you were. Like there might be a few options and choices here, honestly. All right, that's all I'm getting for the third doodle. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you liked it. Let me know if this resonated, and if you want to see more of me, I also do Twitch. I'm currently still stuck in around 1 to 2 streams a fucking week, but I'm trying. We'll see what happens over the holidays. I'm currently doing at least 1 or 2 tarot streams, and then I'll do maybe some chatting or some gaming. I'm still set on finishing my gaming Let's Plays for this year. Like, there's 3 games. I don't know. We'll see how it goes or what happens with that. But yeah, thank you. Have a good one, whatever it is, and peace. Bye bye. Hello. Doodle number 4. Uh, let's get right into it and see what has gonna, well, yeah, what has come across with this energy? Why did I draw it? I don't know. What does it mean? What does it mean? Well, one thing is the energy itself feels like I can make jokes with you people, or like I can be a bit more myself. Weirdly enough, I feel like you guys have a good sense of humor. It's just the energy, but also the intro instantly like made me click onto it. I could, yeah, like I do it myself or kind of go into that vibe myself, but it's not, yeah, it's something about this. You guys are very, you're kind of like energetical bombs in a way. You really know how to mix stuff up. You really know how to make them come together, how to just like let the dust rise and settle. Not you're not one to actually work on the settling part of it, but you let it rise in a way that needs to kind of happen. Like you help things get aired out, and you do have rules around it. You do have values, and even if you are kind of like wild and just having fun and out there and whatever, you still come back to these rules of how things should be done, and you are willing to change and shift and learn more about it, and to get through it. You're also one to understand the importance of like good behavior gets rewarded type of stuff, or good influence, or treat and self-pamperment, and just in general, like type of vibe. You understand the importance of it. Some of you had a problem with taking more of it than giving. Some of you still are dealing with figuring out how you do that. Because ultimately, I think this pile is moving towards being like ultimate givers, but maybe some of you have had a past of being quite significant, serious takers that have kind of snuffed some relationships or people or fires out. Ultimately, you are tuned into the honest experience or expression of like eternity and infinity. You are a person that like you're very real in a way, even when you lie to yourself or to others or you're this or that. You, the worst case scenario, you're leading yourself down a rabbit hole of lies that is gonna smack you in the face with a lot of honesty. It's kind of like you always build up to a breaking point of coming back from that, but you always are going towards like I do gotta be honest, this group has this thing of going towards the pleasures and the rewards more than actually enjoying the opening up process or the need for that. There's a few of you that actually prefer the other way around, but most, for some reason, are coming across as like, give me the treat, give me the good vibes, give me the good thing. But some of you are like, life's everything. I went through enough of it. It's this whole big ass chunk of it has a good side and a bad side. There's sour, there's sweet, there's fucking spicy, there's bitter, there's just cooling, like you know what I mean? There's everything. And there's kind of like a no judgment thing about it as well. You just know what you experience, how and why and whatever, and that it goes on. And there's always a process of rising up and coming down and going through that progression going forward, and maybe also as well experiencing the whole spiral up or spiral down notions of energy. And some of you want to get out of your way, but you don't know how to. Very scared, you're very afraid, and it really gets you down that sometimes you can't get out of your own way. Others of you are glad to see the point of all of what you went through and to accept the accountability and responsibility of like, I can actually have all of these rewards and be happy about myself because I actually didn't, go to my lower inhibitions. I didn't go into the chaos. I didn't go into my lesser approach and experience. I decided to stay pure, go forward with it, and learn truly instead of faking this. Because you saw that, like, actually, it doesn't matter how you theme it, dress it, what type of makeup you put onto it, if it's not kosher, if it's not actually of the right vibe that is healthy, then it's never gonna be that, no matter how loving, positive, humorous, charming, nice you are. It just isn't gonna work. But when I'm gonna be real about it, my God, like that's the actual magic. I didn't need to make it or take it anywhere. I could have just been this whole real deal from the start, from the get-go, and then it would have just made things a lot less complicated, a lot easier, not as separated, not as sectioned. There wasn't gonna be as many loops, and I wouldn't have tried to force um, results. This is going deep and emotional, but I think that's enough. I think we're good. Um, yeah, the this one has like a bit of a mix of people going through the rainbow of self and experience from like huge self-despair and disrespect of life and other things to figuring out what it internally really means when you put your best foot forward and when you don't put your best foot forward, when you're honest and real and true, and when you're just making it up. Not an easy one, but I don't know. It's kind of like you get a lot of rewards if you go up instead of going down, but you might just not like going up because it's a slower learning process and curve. But then if you go down, then there's just chaos and disruption. So it's kind of like, eh. But either way, you definitely always experience rewards. So that's a plus. Extreme. There's a lot more clarity that's going to come to this like Doodle as well. There's a lot of things that are not clear and they're supposed to be not clear. You're supposed to be in the dark figuring it out and really doing the alchemy that only comes from you figuring it out and then someone mentioning it. And yeah, that's just the life you're living. It is clarity coming to you through actual wisdom that takes feel like real feelings, real pain, real thoughts, real, determination and the real understanding and feeling of like this is who I want to be, this is who I don't want to be. It's kind of like life always is going to bring you to that decision and choice. It's always going to show you examples of it, whether you trust it or not. Completely different vibe. So yeah, thank you so much for having this doodle reading from me. I hope you enjoyed. I hope it was nice. Um, yeah, I've heard some people say on some other videos, not mine, but they were mentioning how sometimes it's hard to pick from a pile. I wonder if it's easier with different colored doodles. And in general, I've been thinking like how to shift or change that. I guess some people have literally like done everything they could, which is having crystals besides having like zodiac signs and other things. And I'm gonna be real, guys. I don't have the biggest fucking collection. I've honestly I'm not really in that space as it is of now. Maybe that'll change, maybe not. So yeah, I might mix these in with some readings. I might just do some other weird different experiments that is different from this or maybe is the same. And we're just gonna see where this journey takes me with you or us in general. And yeah, have fun with it. Figure out some new approaches and practices to divinating over YouTube. So, yeah, look after yourself. I hope you are well, and if not, that you are coping well enough, or have something lucky happen to you. And yeah, see you next time. If you want to see more of me, you can go to Linktree, and yeah, feel free to share your story as well in the comment section. Uh, bye bye now.